And with this being said, Minister Farrakhan, what truth is there any to the belief that a lack of love in the home promotes violence by youth in the streets?
Thank you. First, I'm honored to be here with this distinguished panel, and thanks to Reverend Lee for organizing it, and thanks to all of you who have come. We as human beings grow from a horizontal level. When we come onto this planet, we lie flat. But shortly after 1 year old, the child reaches for something to pull up to an upright position, and then the child grows in uprightness. We live in a world where human beings who are animals in their first stages of development, but we become human when we introduce knowledge that overcomes instinct. We cannot separate education from the violence that is going on in our communities today. They are linked. Let me share very quickly this. You cannot look at education and its failure, because all black and brown children, for the most part, are being left behind. That's not an accident. That's by design. And the same people who are making the legislation that you are trying to follow are the same people whose parents put us in this condition, and their job is to keep us where their parents put us. If I just need a couple of minutes on these 2 points of education and violence. If you look at the educational system, which our brother so adequately described, it is dying. If you were to go to your doctor and your heart rate is off, your blood pressure is off, you got diabetes, you suffer from cancer, well, heck, somebody can predict, well, if we don't do something quick, this guy or this lady is out of here. Well, when you look at an educational system where nearly 50% of the children are dropping out of school, there really is no real desire in the children for the kind of education that they're being fed. It's not the children that are off, it's the education itself that is lacking what the children need to become who they really are. Let me say this about this thought that maybe my child is not adequate and your child is better than my child. God doesn't make mistakes. The book says he created us all in his image and after his likeness. That means that my child and your child, the black child, the white child, the brown child, have the same potential for greatness. But it is the environment and what we put in that environment that accelerates their pace to greatness or diminishes it. At the root of America's educational system is an idea that is dying a natural death, and that idea is white supremacy. Yes, I hope you don't get upset with me, because I just have to speak it the way I know it. Yes, sir. See, they have us like dogs chasing our tail. You keep running around in circles, but you never achieve what you want, because you're looking to the same people who put you in this condition to take you out of it, and they're not gonna do it. Yes, sir. Education comes from two Latin words, duco, ducere, which means to lead, and a means out or out from. If you're truly educated, You're led out from darkness into light, from ignorance into knowledge, from weakness into strength.
Yes, sir.
Then we are not being educated. We're being trained in a system that we can fit in a world that has put us on a certain level and wants to keep us at that level. That's why it's $8,000 per student in a black and brown school and $15,000 in another school, because you are being trained to be inferior to that which has ruled you since you've been in America. Now to the violence. You know,
Go ahead, Minister.
you know, I say first to the educators, we need a new educational system. This one has to be scrapped. It is insufficient to give to human beings what human beings need to become human. Now, let's look at violence.
Come on, Minister.
See, animals function from instinct. The beast is instinctively a beast of prey. It preys on the weaker thing. That's how it survives. When you take jobs out of the inner cities, when you stop a parent from being able to provide basic needs for their children, when the child is made to think that education is so that they can have more creature comforts rather than education to develop that child to its fullest potential, that it becomes a reflection of its creator. Now you have on the world scene human beings that have degenerated into the family of beasts, where humans are preying on humans. See, it's natural that you're going to be violent when nature tells you that the first law of nature is self-preservation. There are no jobs. These young people are coming out of school. You can't look to white America to provide a job for you if you are not willing to provide one for yourself. So now guns are brought in. Drugs are brought in. And so you see the level of our humanity degenerating. So we are becoming beasts in human form. To the reverends that are present, it's in the Bible that we would have the mark of the beast in our forehead and in our hands. If you think like an animal, you will act like an animal. And that's why Jesus said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Where's the love? She asked the question. It's a good question. How can a parent show love to a child? Listen to me carefully. When you've got to remove the child from your breast and go to work and put your child on a formula that never equals what is even in the breast of a sick mother, then you wed your baby to a plastic bottle while the mother is trying to get some money to feed that child because her father made her pregnant and ran off and left her. Where's the love? Where's the love when you've got to warehouse your children and they become more friendly to things like a teddy bear, a dog? There's not human interaction. This is a society that has degenerated to the point where love is absent, even among those who think they love. Why won't you touch your child? Why won't you tell your child that you love them? Because in reality, the lifeblood of love is being sucked out of us, and we are fighting to survive in a loveless world. And I say this with deep humility. unless we all come back to God.
Yeah.
Unless we all recognize that without our connection to God, nothing can be successful. He is the supreme educator, but he's kicked out of the public school system. You can't pray. Well, why would I send my child to a school that does not even recognize God when he is the author of all that you think you know? So this is why you have to connect education to the violence, the lack of opportunity to the violence, and the lack of love. And how can you love, in conclusion, what you don't know? If you don't know yourself, you can't love yourself. And nowhere in America's educational system are black and brown children made to know who they are, their connection to the supreme being, their connection to one another. So you can't love what you don't know. So Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, how many of us in here as mature adults know the neighbor next door, show love to the neighbor next door, in the church, in the mosque, in the synagogue? We don't show love. There's more love in the gangs than there is in the home with their siblings. There's more love in an institution that's fighting against alcoholism and drug addiction. It goes beyond race or color. You find people in these institutions genuinely loving each other because they're struggling to overcome a sickness, a disease. Love is absent in the church. I'm sorry, love is absent in the mosque. Love is absent in the synagogue. Love is absent in the home. Love is absent between males and females in our relationship. And love is absent because God is absent in our lives. And that's why the scripture says God is love. And if we don't love one another, we don't know God. And if we loved one another, the violence would go down, the level of education would come up. The answer to all of our problems is bringing us back to a proper relationship with our Creator. Thank you very much.